last meeting.
So we're missing.
Yeah, but he's excused.
Yeah. Oh, he's in there. I mean, you guys are.
Yes, he is.
Welcome everyone to the South Russell Village Council meeting. Today is Monday, April 28th. Please rise, put your hand over your heart, and join us in our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Fiscal officer will take the roll.
Bell.
Here.
Berger's absent. Canton.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Glicki.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
We have minutes from the April 14th regular council meeting. Any changes or corrections to the minutes?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by
Second.
Porter and by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are passed. We have visitors. Welcome. We're going to, in a minute, a couple minutes, we're going to get a motion to approve the appointment of Michael MacIver as a part-time police officer. We do this seriously. This just isn't a slam dunk. We've talked to your neighbors, some former neighbors. So kids, remember, people remember things. We've done the normal reference checks. So we really, when we look at somebody, we want to make sure we know what we're talking about. I did get a phone call from someone, in fact, from Tennessee about you. So, yeah, and nice things about it. So, Chief, tell us how we got to this process.
Well, we've been on the search for part-time officers for quite some time now, and Mike applied with us over the last couple of months. What I'd like to do is ask the mayor to appoint Mike to the part-time position effective May 1st with the approval of Safety Committee. Mike started his career in 2001 with the Cleveland State University Police Department. And then in 2005, he was hired with the Chester Township Police Department. And in 2013, he ended up in the Russell Township Police Department, where he currently serves as a full-time officer. Mike has extensive training in crime scene investigation and accident investigations. And he's also a certified field training officer. Once again, I'd like to ask the mayor to appoint Mike to the part-time position, of course, with the approval of the Safety Committee.
Okay. Safety Committee, you make a motion, please?
Sure.
You want to talk about the process or anything else?
I don't.
Now let's do it.
On behalf of the Safety Committee, I'd like to make a motion to confirm the mayor's appointment of Michael MacIver as a part-time patrol officer here in South Russell, Ohio. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mike, please come forward. Stand here. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Michael MacIver,
I, Mike MacIver,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully,
and will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of
in the office of
part-time patrolman
part-time patrolman
in the village of South Russell
in the village of South Russell
in Geauga County, Ohio.
in Geauga County, Ohio.
I hope you guys feel proud of your dad.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
You're busy. Well, it's not gonna-
Oh, just look at that. Congratulations.
Stand right here and face that way, and we'll get some pictures. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got it. Sure. Let's do the family first. Okay.
One, two, three. Take one. 1, 2, 3. Chief, you want to slide in?
Sure.
All right,
Thank you.
hang on, that's wide angle lens getting me out of here.
Yeah, take 2. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
All right, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Happy birthday. I
Nice to meet you guys.
I was taking a bunch of selfies. I mean, I know that's normal, Chris.
A couple comments just about our interview process. When we hired a street commissioner, we had a gentleman that was a finalist, but he didn't get the job. He eventually moved on to another community with some help from us. And now he has written us a letter supporting one of the people that has applied for our street open position. So it's nice to know that people are trying to help each other out. Okay, we are now, we're going to hold on the motion to promote Kite Trip, because I haven't gotten back. I gave him a lot of information, and I had him watch the meter investment activity, which is a video on April 16th, and I haven't gotten back to him since. So we'll hold on Ike for now. Other things for the mayor's committee, just some things that I'll ask about as we go through. Probably the best thing is that the greater Spring Valley community brought in 3,200 pounds of food for the Harvest for Hunger. And it's another nice activity. All right, we are now at the fiscal officer.
I distributed my report, which I think Jerry wanted to report on. So there's the income tax collections are increased, so Jerry will give more details on that. And I just wanted to know if everybody, the bathroom was installed at the park. Nobody has any problems with that because I have to pay the bill this week.
The stacks go kind of cattywampus, so if you.
But I mean, in terms of paying for it, are we okay with paying for it?
As
Anybody?
long as they're gonna come straighten them out, because just visually, you can tell it's not, they should go.
So they're
straight.
coming to fix it?
I believe the streets commissioner was going to speak to the company to find a solution for that, but I don't know if he has.
So do you want me to hold off on paying that bill till the next go around?
No, we can find out tonight and get it done.
So we're okay to
Just
pay
tell them
the
they better show up and straighten their stacks.
Are we okay to pay the bill?
That's-
Because it's
You
$115,000.
need a motion?
I would like a motion.
Jerry, would you do a motion to pay for the park,
Okay,
restroom?
I'll make a motion that our fiscal officer go forward and pay the company that we purchased the restroom from full amount.
And I will second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Okay,
And that's all I have.
all right. Finance committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. April 18th, 2025, Finance Committee minutes can be found either in your packets or on your desk this evening. Any questions? Next Finance Committee meeting will be held on May 9th at 3:15 p.m. at Village Hall. As reflected in our fiscal officer's report, April's monthly net income tax collection is $224,098, an increase of $78,605 compared to March, along with it being a $73,597 increase compared to April of 2024. Since January of this year, we've collected $898,686 of income tax. That's an increase of $136,244 compared to April of last year.
Wow, that's significant.
Well, in March and April, we usually get they give us an estimated amount. So then it will be, because it's income tax collection season, then they'll total it up in June. They'll make an adjustment.
On Wednesday of this week, I will come here to the hall to sign the second round of monthly checks. That's all I have.
Questions of the finance committee? Hearing none, solicitor.
I have nothing to report.
I think Chief, Mark and I guess I'll start. I want to just commend you for running the ceremony last Friday. I think you're good on your feet, since I know you got thrown a curveball. She was,
Yeah.
judge.
Solicitor here is the Geauga County Bar Association president. Every year we do a Law Day event, which is actually nationwide, and it's a celebration of the Constitution, the laws of the state of Ohio, and we have an essay contest, and we had a number of submissions this year. 4 were selected, and Judge Mary Jane Trapp is the one who's been leading this for the last, 10, 15, some odd years at least. And it was sort of her thing to do, and she was in charge, and she made all the arrangements. And she unfortunately passed away either the night before or the morning of the Law Day event. And the solicitor stepped in her capacity as a committee member as well as the Bar Association president and handled the entire affair on, 2 hours notice, I think, maybe 3,
Yes.
and did it flawlessly. Detective
Agreed.
Speckman was honored as the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. The the students who got the submissions selected were given their checks, and the former Justice of the Supreme Court was brilliantly introduced by Brady, Melody Stewart, and gave a very compelling talk for the event. And it looked, from my spot in the back, like you had been doing this your whole life, right? And it went beautifully, and thanks. And congratulations to the detective.
Thank you.
Chief, anything you'd like to say about the event? We'll do that now, okay?
No, I received some feedback from some of the officials that were there, and they basically stated that Kevin Spackman was one of the most gracious recipients and appreciative of the nomination and the selection.
He had his notes, but he was nervous, so he walked up and he forgot them.
He did
Still
very
did
well.
great. Yeah, you can wing it
Did very well.
So going forward, Judge Trapp is at the America 250 meetings, was at those, and she has really promoted his essay contest.
too. And the time capsule and everything,
Yeah.
right? That's gonna be at the court.
And I think between Jerry and myself and probably Bill, we know some young people that could really participate in this essay contest. So as that comes up next year, if you could let me know.
Sure. It's for high school students in Geauga County. And they can be homeschooled as well. But that's.
Anybody 9 through 12?
I believe it is 9 through 12. Or am I wrong on that?
I think it's 9 through 12, and it's either they live here or they go to school
That's
here.
right, I'm sorry.
So you have kids from other areas that go to West G or Chagrin or whatever, or West G, and they can participate. So live here or go to school here.
So it's not a scholarship, it's more of a prize?
Correct. It's a prize,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
all right. But that gets you ready for other stuff. that you can
Absolutely.
write. All right,
Yeah.
great, thank you.
It was a great event and nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, street committee.
Streets met on, I think it was Thursday, maybe Dennis can tell me, Thursday, April 17th. Nope, it was on Friday, April 18th. And I submitted a report. We went over a number of things, the berming, the restroom, grading dirt at the drone garage, clean up around the salt storage, and we still need to get the signs at the borders of South Russell and Bainbridge, South Russell and Newberry, and maybe South Russell and Chagrin. Any questions with my report?
I just had one question in general for streets, and I know we didn't discuss this at the last streets committee, but I noticed there's new signage decals on village vehicles, as of, I guess, today, but I also noticed that the village's name is improper on it. So
No, it
whoever,
doesn't say Village of South Russell?
no, it says South Russell Village. So I'm just wondering who may have authorized that particular verbiage, because I know it wasn't addressed at the committee level.
I don't know the answer, but they sure look nice.
They do. I saw the artist working trash day. They were inside the garage doing the lettering. And I didn't think to ask him about village of or South Whistle Village.
You know, I'm disturbed at your lack of attention to detail.
I have the same level of attention to
I was
detail.
throwing stuff in large bins that took up most of my
Mark actually
attention.
worked.
Anything else for the street committee?
So, do we know?
I guess it's okay then that villages, we're not gonna approach the
I- I-
contractor. Was it a contractor error? Was it our error? Did we submit the
Probably
wrong
ours.
information?
I don't know.
Probably bring it up to the next street committee, maybe, and find out.
Do we have any idea yet how much the new salt barn will cost?
No.
We do
We're
not.
waiting on the engineer's return, I
Yeah.
presume.
He comes to the first meeting of the month, so he should be at the first meeting in May.
Let me see if I have anything else. I want to just compliment everybody with Street and Trash Day. I was afraid it wouldn't go smoothly. It went like clockwork. It was great. And everyone had a great time standing out there in the cold and drizzle and talking to people. But Mike had his officers. They're so helpful because they know all the streets. It was really very nice. And the people that we had to hire, which was the part that worried me, you had to hire extra people. I think they worked like gangbusters. Everything seemed to go very well.
Anything else from the street
My
committee?
garage is a lot cleaner at this point. Let's see.
Now, on to the building committee.
Buildings. I did speak with Dave Hosabar. I'm not quite done on streets. So in trying to hire the new employee, Danielle sent us out, and did you send it to all of council, didn't you, Danielle?
No, to streets and HR and the mayor.
To streets and HR. So I wanted to ask for the top 3 picks of all of them. And so I shouldn't share it with those that are not on streets and HR.
I'm not part of that, so I don't know.
Okay.
I know we got 17
Streets and HR, if
applicants.
you could give me your top 3 picks of all the people that submitted applications. I think there's a dozen of them. A lot of people.
17,
Holy crap.
and most of them have their CDL.
So you want three?
I want the top 3, but read through and just give it your best judgment call.
Okay.
Let's see, and one more thing, we have discussed uniforms ad nauseum at the street department level. I would like to get that straightened out, and I'm not sure, does Tim have to get something to you? Or do we have to get something to you to get them to be able to select new?
Well, we don't have a policy for it now, so I need to know how it's gonna be. Am I cutting a PO for the uniform place? I mean, or is each person getting, I don't know how it's gonna work. We don't have a policy, so we need a policy first.
So that starts with HR.
HR, streets.
Chris drafted one for the last meeting, but I think he has to make some adjustments.
Okay,
And then he gave it
This
to, I think, to
this month.
streets to talk about and then come back.
okay, all right. That's it for streets.
Okay.
Building, talk to Dave Hosabar. Going forward, there were minutes included in the packet that were for, was it planning commission? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember which group it was from, but it had to do with, no, it was BZA. BZA, and Friday, you would have been at that, so you can correct me if I get anything wrong. It looked like it's a continuing discussion of the parking areas, back by the Hawaiian guy and the workout people. I don't know all their names. I did read through.
No, I think at the BZA, they actually approved the variance for 576 Industrial Parkway to, let's say he needed 58 parking spaces. I'm
Right.
guessing, I think it was between 55 and 60. In any event, he's now going to have a variance for 33 parking spaces. So they did grant that variance.
So does this change the function, for example, of Hawaiian guy, or leave it the
You
same?
know, that's a great question. It does not change anything with respect to Hawaiian Guy. They had come forward asking for another review of their conditional use because their conditional use specifically prohibits carryout.
Mhm.
They wanted to kind of say, hey, can you guys get rid of that? We'd like to have carryout. But they haven't been, not until the parking situation is kind of resolved, or they're really supposed to come back, but they haven't really been in touch, and we don't know kind of what's going on.
Okay,
So-
so they would have to, make an overture.
Yes, or we could maybe either have Dave or someone in the building department just reach out and let them know that, okay, this is what's happened. 477 Industrial Parkway parking plan has been improved. 576 Industrial Parkway, their parking plan has a variance. do you guys want to keep your application on the table for a planning commission, or do you want to withdraw it? Okay, that's.
They didn't withdraw that?
I don't think that they did. I think that we kind of kept it really open and tabled it really until we get the parking kind of squared away.
Okay, thank you, Bridie.
No problem.
So there's that. I have gotten multiple questions about Hawaiian Guide, that's why I bring it up. Not from them, from residents. Dave Husvar also asked, have we not signed the current contract for Dan
No,
D'Agostino?
we haven't.
And so what is waiting
We
there?
need to have a committee meeting and get it approved.
Okay,
I think there's also some issues of
Yeah,
what he
so,
wants and what we normally do. So we have a couple things to iron out.
Ruth, I can send, so he sent a proposed contract
I remember seeing it.
and we revised it, or we made some comments.
Mhm.
But, and I probably didn't send it to the right person, but I'll send it to you as building chair.
Okay,
If you guys could maybe go through it during building committee,
okay,
that would be great.
great, thank you very
Mike,
much.
myself.
And that's all I have.
Okay.
Questions of the building committee? Chief?
I have a building update, our garage. Tomorrow, we will be receiving our load of drywall. The electrician will be out on Thursday to complete his part, and the crew will be returning on Friday to hang the drywall. So we're going to start moving forward again. Don't have an estimated time of arrival. We got delayed by about 2 weeks because of the inability to track down the appropriate wiring. So we're back on track again.
You got the right wire.
They do.
Correct wire, okay.
Questions of the chief? Safety committee?
Okay, safety committee, first and foremost, a little housekeeping here. You probably know, part-time officer Dennis Harmon turned in his letter of resignation. Met with him at an exit interview, and at this point, I'd like to acknowledge the resignation of Officer Dennis Harmon.
I don't know if there's a second required,
I
but
don't know.
if so, it's seconded.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right,
Okay, we did meet on the 24th. Just two things I want to bring up as a result. One, there was an incident in Lake Louise with a dog. A pit bull and a basset hound, and two people holding the dogs got injured as well, in addition to the basset hound. I don't know if the pit bull got hurt. The dog warden did get involved, Jug County Dog Warden, and working with the prosecutor, they are charging the dog owner. Chief, do you want to provide any color commentary to that?
Yeah, in the event that the dog owner is convicted, they could deem the dog a dangerous dog, and there are certain requirements that would force them to keep the dog in a pen, or have the dog muzzled or on a chain link leash if out walking in public. Also, there could be a push to have the dog relocated out of the neighborhood. So we don't know what the results will be until the court case is heard.
Does this dog have a history of?
No.
Was the dog on a leash?
Yes, so as the walker was walking the dog, they made contact visually with this other owner and dog. The pit bull backed up out of its collar and then charged. So it actually escaped the collar and then charged the basset. So they were involved, intertwined, and the two owners, walkers, tried to separate them, and that's when the injuries occurred.
Did the basset have to be put down?
No, his injuries are pretty significant, a lot of staples hold them together, but he's expected to survive.
The reason I bring it up just because it's pretty gruesome, and as counsel, I thought you might want to know about it. Obviously, there are a lot of terrible incidents in the village, but I just wanted to share this one because there may be a push from some residents to us for something about dog ordinances, although it's very tough. The dog warden provided a lot of background of villages in Northeast Ohio with their dog ordinances, and there's not much you can do with, I don't know, what you
Banning a
call them,
breed.
breeds that are difficult, as people call them, because, for every good dog,
So
there's a
you have
bad
to
dog.
wait till something bad happens?
That's my understanding.
We already have the leash law.
We do too. Yeah, and they were both leashed at the time, but when, visual contact was made, the dog backed out. And, that could be that the collar wasn't appropriately attached.
And I want to appreciate Chris for bringing in that the dog warden from Geauga County was present and provided some great legal advice about the issue, and there was no cause to destroy the perpetrator dog or thankfully the dog that was attacked or the human, but we did receive a great readout, which is in the possession of the chief, that talks about all the communities that have anything about dog ordinances on their ordinances or resolutions.
Oh, I'd like to
And
see. that.
unfortunately, well, it basically says, no dog ban, no breed bans. So the fact of the matter is, it doesn't get into great specifics. It just says, basically, there's not a lot you can do to ban dogs of any breed.
There are communities that have registrations, but I guess you could get in some kind of argument over if that's fair enough.
So this is interesting because I walked the park today and it looked like this man it looked like a Rottweiler. I don't know a rat from a pit bull though very well. It was a big dog with a big mouth and it did toward me. And I just went completely around and the man had to pick the collar up. He picked the dog up off the ground to get it to settle down. And that's not what we want in the park. If I had two kids with me, which used to be my life, and one of them ran toward it, you could have a very bad ending.
You also have to understand that that dog is under control by that owner, which he provided control. Then at this point, no law is being broken.
Pretty extreme control.
Yeah, as I understand it, the state of Ohio used to have a breed ban on pit bulls. And I believe they changed that due to the fact that there was so much controversy over that. And, the dog warden did touch on that a little bit. So the state of Ohio changed their law to indicate that there are no specific breed bans.
I recall there's a revised code section that deals with vicious dogs.
Right.
And it talks about a dog that has attacked a human before as one of the things, but it also talks about known breeds that are potentially dangerous. And I believe pit bull is listed as one of them. There's a few others, but we're a statutory revised code village. And I think that's where we would look to as the guidance for what we might do in the future.
And the warden did point out that by the law, the fact that the dog did not attack a human or go after the human makes this a completely different scenario.
Oh, very much so, yeah. Was the person hurt?
There were people injured, but they were trying to break the dogs up.
Okay. So the dog didn't attack the
No,
human after the basset, as
no,
far as we know?
no, we're trying to, break up the dogs. My understanding is while breaking up the dogs, incidentally got bits or scratch. It's pretty wicked pictures
That's no
of
joke.
dogs and humans.
Yeah. Fortunately, we don't see a lot of these vicious bites, they're few and far between, fortunately for us.
It shouldn't.
But we thought it'd be a good idea to bring the dog warden in and try to explain, some of the challenges that he's had over the years. But, so we're waiting for the outcome of the court case.
That family was impacted.
Anything else for the safety committee?
Yeah, quickly, we've been talking about the IT service provider for the police department recently. That's currently on hold after a change of policy from ADP. Basically saying if you're not on their network, we wouldn't be able to access Geauga County Sheriff in a broad way of saying it.
Yeah, there was a malware incident with one of the Geauga County Fire Departments where one of their computers was infected. Now the CrowdStrike program stopped the attack, but it's leading ADP to reassess their VPN connections. And the statement was made that if you are not, this is at the earliest levels, if you're not being managed by ADP, they were going to prevent you from accessing Geauga County's software program, which is how we operate. So that is, again, early stages, early statements. We don't know if they've got a workaround yet, but it sounds like we may be pushed into it if they decide to go that route.
Councilman Galicki, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think it covered it all.
Okay, our next meeting is May the 15th at 8 a.m. in the police department.
Questions of the safety committee? Hearing none, we're on the HR committee.
HR committee, breaking news written on my agenda from the fiscal officer is that Ruth Griswold will be back tomorrow in the building
Great.
department. So that's good news. Thanks for sharing that. Also, we have a note for employee extended medical leave. I
That
assume.
was what it was about, that she's back.
Oh, that's what she's back, okay. And then other than that, our next HR meeting is May the 13th at 7:30 a.m. in Village Hall. And Mr. Berger is not here to provide any other input.
Questions of the HR committee? Three things. Last week was Administrative Assistance Week. Time when you like to set aside to recognize administrative assistants. Some of us old people know it, the old Secretary's Day.
Secretary's Day.
Next week is Service Department recognition, and the usual recognition of first responders is on May 24th. So can we put all that on the agenda for the HR committee, as to how we're going to recognize employees? I notified the administrative assistants that I didn't want to do anything until Ruth got back, and I was thinking of somehow going someplace nice outdoors, but let's work with the HR committee to come up with something to recognize them. It's pretty tough, but we've talked about to recognize our police officers. But let's just put that on the agenda, something that we can do, if that's all right. Got it? Okay. HR committee, employee extended medical leave.
That was the Ruth.
That was it. Ruth coming back tomorrow. Okay. Properties committee.
Okay, Properties Committee met 22nd of this month. The minutes are included in your council packages. And Tuesday, May 27th will be our next meeting. Subject to any questions, we do have one piece of legislation that might have to be addressed here about the farmer's market, but beyond that, that concludes the report of the committee. So at this time, would you like me to introduce the ordinance?
No, we'll do it during ordinances, but how about a motion to start on the corner lot to remove trees, asphalt?
Okay, one of the items that
Bricks.
the Properties Committee spoke about is, beginning stages of improvements to the corner lot, the properties of the dental office and the old insurance building that were taken down. And it comes as no surprise that, the pavement area is still there. The brick patio approaches to one of the former buildings are still there. And there was discussion at the last two actual Properties Committee about we'd like to start the process with removing the blacktop pavements and the brick pavements, leveling the land that, remains. We want to remove 3 trees from the property, and we'd like to have council's approval to begin the project.
Do we have to get rid of all 3 trees?
I don't know how that proposal began. Quite frankly, I would be of the opinion that why not leave all the trees until we decide what to do? So, in the discussion section, perhaps we can talk about the
Okay.
trees and who suggested that the trees go and why. But
Okay.
I'm the opinion with you, Ruth, that,
The
why don't
one
we
that
keep the
blossoms
trees?
looked so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that,
Why don't we do this, since the street commissioner's not here? We do it on May the 12th and discuss why the trees, the 3 trees, the asphalt, bricks and curbing, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
he had a sketch or a drawing or something. didn't he?
Yeah, he talked about getting rid of them too, and the more I thought about it,
Yeah, it was a very loose, it
Yeah.
wasn't anything scientific, but, like on the napkin of a bar.
is it assigned to have the work done internally by our crew?
yes.
Yeah, this is not gonna be contracted out, this is all, and the pavement will be ground up and, and taken to our dump facility.
I'm pro tree too.
Oh, look,
I'm pro keep the trees too.
So-
Well, you're-
Dennis, I missed the
you know
time
that.
on the 22nd. I missed the time.
Oh, the time, let's see, it's in the notes here.
Yeah, we can.
The time is, hold on one sec. I'm there, my fingers just aren't working.
While he does that, for the HR training that we've hired, is that as council members encouraged and expected, should not attend? What's the opinion on that? Any
I believe it was the
opinion on that?
Canton is what Berger said.
I'm sorry, for what?
Yeah,
We're bringing in Todd Hicks from Fracture Dismogola to talk to the employees and to the, should we attend? Should we not attend?
Are you talking about-
Any-
Optional, they certainly can attend.
Okay.
So elected officials can attend?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're
Is that what
recording
you're
it.
asking me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Or should we attend? Yeah, or should not
So
attend?
It's 9 AM.
Thanks, Dennis.
No, it's harassment training for all village employees.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Next, Parks Committee.
Parks is, she's behind unless somebody else wants to. Jerry was here. I'll start, Jerry, and we'll fill in as we go. We had a very good meeting last week. They had the bocce ball ladies present what they would like and talk about it quite a bit. We hadn't met over the winter because quite frankly, there's not a lot that you do over the winter with the park. It's premature to do the date for the fall festival until they put out the adjective Browns team schedule, which will be early May, and we look forward to that. So most everybody liked the bathroom. There were a few extra comments, and the mayor can again go over the Eagle Scout projects if he wants. There's 3 proposals there. It seems that not the rain garden, but Judy Harvey's garden was trimmed a little close. And I took a walk today. It was. There are plants coming back, but if they don't, I'm of the opinion we can replace some of those. And that's just opinion at this point. And that's about all I have. Jerry, can you think of anything I left out?
Well, as you all know, I am not officially a member of the,
Neither one of us are. We're just
Parks
park
Committee.
aficionados.
but I did attend, and it was well received. And that's all I have to say.
I'm proud of our park.
Questions of the Park Committee? I did talk to Chagrin Falls. They built their bocce court. And I asked between 3,000 and 13,000. He said around 13,000, and that they build it, but basically they don't have to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a bocce court, very similar at Bentleyville. I don't know why, theirs is under trees. When I got pictures, I'll show it to you. It was a mess. The branches coming down on it and everything.
So you'd have to clean it off
Yeah.
more frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, once you put it in, it's pretty much zero maintenance.
Well, we land for trees at our park, so if we go forward with that, that shouldn't be a problem.
It's
Did the Chagrin, I'm sorry, Mark, did the Chagrin official mention how often it's used?
I know that, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's 28 different teams. The only other thing I heard from Chagrin is, they walk by and see it, it's okay. There's no maintenance to it as such.
So that's good.
Okay, we have public utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Public utilities did indeed, that's good. And the minutes are in the council packets. What we talked about, the next public utilities meeting will be May 14th at 3:15 PM, Village Hall. And probably the item to bring to council's attention, which we talked about at the last public utilities meeting, is the question of the Kensington Green Village agreement, license agreement, for the purposes of monitoring sediment in Bullfrog Pond, to the extent there is any, and there undoubtedly is. And council may recall that this is the first of the 41 different ponds that we are attempting to get agreements with the owners in order to do pond monitoring for silt purposes throughout the village. The issue is, it appears that Kensington at least believes that their $350 legal bill for the review of the agreement will be paid by the village. And it's, I suspect, quite apparent that if the village is not inclined to pay that bill, then Kensington will probably not be inclined to move forward with the Bullfrog Pond agreement. And it may be that we've spent the last year and a half or 2 years attempting to get this program going, then it might get stopped in its tracks. But at least in my view, $350, and it may be more because the solicitor has to go back and forth, I think, with their attorney. But I don't think it's going to be more than 1,000, but that's just a guess on my part. Can you bring us up to date on where we are with the issues identified by the village and what Kensington's lawyer responded? Right?
Yeah, I haven't heard back yet from the Kensington.
Okay, so we don't know anything about that, but the bill at the moment is $350, and I think the village should pay for it out of stormwater. And I'm sure there's questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
I would love to have this be available to all homeowners associations as far as monitoring. I know that, am I even allowed to say this, Barty? Papa didn't want to sell the acreage around theirs, but as far as getting the silt incoming measured, I'm sure they'd be on board with that. So that is of interest to me.
Well,
And not only that, but I would think Lake Louise, Bellwood, I'm thinking of the bigger ones. I don't know all 41 by any stretch.
Well, they vary in importance, as it were, from Central Retention Basin, Bullfrog Pond, yours, and Lake Louise, and throughout the village, and in descending order. There's also like really tiny ponds too. They're at the end of the list, but the top 10, certainly your pond and your silt pond are very much a part of that. And also Lake Louise is in the top 10. You've got a bunch of them in Chagrin Lakes, and of course Parkland Dam, or Parkland Pond, or whatever we're calling it these days. So this is possibly, and I think that's what you're alluding to, is the template going forward.
So given that it is the template, can we expect legal challenges and fees for the 40 remaining ponds? So it's not a matter of $350 or $500, but it might be 40 times that amount as we go forward. And I guess it goes back to me questioning, is this even needed? You know, are we imposing our will as a village to enter private property for the sake of monitoring, which may or may not be the responsibility of the HOAs? So I'm just saying, it's not a one-time $350 or $500 when you consider Bridie's additional charges. You know, it's much more expense.
Well, we wouldn't be imposing if you leave it up to the homeowners association to decide if they even want that service.
Correct. And frankly, I mean, if you get the top 10 under monitoring, the other ones are somewhat less important because they're not as large or strategically located, but it'd be nice going forward. This may take, based on our progress to date, this might take 60,
Years.
70 years.
You know, so
Yes, you're right.
again, and is that, if that being the case, is it even worthwhile? I do know that the whole agreement has not necessarily even been voted on by the HOA at Kensington Green. So, I mean, we're doing a lot of preliminary stuff with no input from even the HOA members. So again, are we putting the cart before the horse here?
I don't think so. I think that monitoring the silt levels will give us an idea of when they need to be dredged. And also sharing information with the HOA or the owner will go along that line so that we don't wind up necessarily with a situation like Paw faced, last year?
You know, I understand Pawpaw, but I also understand that Kensington, a couple of years ago, employed Aqueduct, and there was minimal silt in Bullfrog Pond. In addition, an aeration system was put in, which was again going to minimize silt to another level. So again, while Kensington Green might be the low-hanging fruit because it's right next door, is it even worthwhile pursuing?
Well, it sounds like he's looking for a template, which is a workable document.
I am, and I think.
Well, a template is just a template. I mean, a template doesn't require buy-in from any HOA.
So another way to look at it is, somewhere within the last 4 years, we paid a significant amount of money to Sugar Bush for half of their dredging, and that I'd like to avoid. That's not right. If you're gonna do for one, you're gonna do for all. So that's why I would be for this, just to see. I have personally, over the years, called Geauga Soil and Water and asked if they could help Pawpaw measure what comes in. They cannot. I think this would be a very worthwhile tool.
So before I ask any other questions, the fact, it's just the way it worked out that the first community you're working with is Kensington Green.
Correct.
And as a resident of Kensington Green, it makes me a little uncomfortable. So my question to the solicitors, can three of us live in that neighborhood? Can we even discuss, well, if you count the mayor, 4. Sorry, I wasn't saying a little less than mayor, sorry. But as far as voting, can we even discuss this or vote on this thing?
As far as the attorney's fees, I don't know that you actually can. Because I would think that, I don't know how the HOA works, but if they had an expense, wouldn't that then be an assessment to all of the residents there if they had an expense or a part of a due or something? And no? Okay, well, I don't know. I would actually see it as possible conflict to say, yes, go ahead and use village funds for 3 members of council and the mayor who live there to pay for the legal fees to review the license agreement, which, by the way, I already have a template. The question is really whether or not, quite frankly, Kensington is going to agree to some of the things that we're asking for. And one of the things, keep in mind, that we are asking for is that, and I don't know if it's going to be a fight, maybe it won't, but that fee will continue to, increase with the lawyer. I don't know if it's $350 or $400, Mark, I can't remember.
I seem to remember 350.
Okay.
But as far as council voting on this, I don't see a conflict because Kensington does not now have a monitoring program. So there's no expense for monitoring that any particular member or the HOA is saving by the village doing this. It is a add-on that we are doing from a village point of view for the purposes of stormwater management. And I've lived there 25 years. Bill, you've been there since what, 87? We haven't dredged that pond yet. However, there is money set aside for that purpose should it be needed. And as far as when's it needed is the big question. And I do know they've had soundings taken over the years, but I don't ever recall seeing a bill for that. Nonetheless, Dennis is right, Aqueduct does have the aerators, but whatever silt is in there before the aerators were installed is probably still there. We don't know. So from my point of view, it's like, well, the road program paves Annandale Drive. And Chris and I both live on Annandale Drive. We vote for the road program. I don't see a difference between that and this.
But there's no expense that might come to you as a resident. That's the difference. I mean, your taxpayer funds, yes, but this is a legal fee that we will be that if voted on, the village will be paying for, and that fee will increase. And it actually could be something that would be then actually assessed to the residents instead of to the village.
So does it break down to, do we do silt monitoring? Even, that's one issue, and then the other is, do the residents pay for it? Which, even if the residents pay for it, I would vote yes.
I'm inclined to go with that. So, do you have other questions?
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you're inclined to go with?
I'm inclined to continue to pursue the pond monitoring program like we've been doing. Kensington is the first one because it's number 2 in line to the central retention basin. So we're kind of going in order of priority because of their impact on stormwater. And that the village pick up the legal expenses if the HOA or the owner would like their own independent review. Because my guess is, correct me if I'm wrong there, Kensington will walk if we don't follow through on what they consider a promise by us to pay for the legal review.
Who promised?
Probably was not a good promise. I'm just saying, it should never have been intimated, but my other point is keep in mind, we have 41 other ponds or 40 other ponds. They're all gonna want the legal review, even if it's a template,
And
even if it's a template that Kensington agrees to.
I'm inclined to believe that.
Okay.
And maybe it will. And the next one may tell us they don't want monitoring at all.
Right.
Now we go to number 3. So is it gonna be 41 times, I don't know, whatever? Probably not. And there are some homeowners who will say, stay off my property. I don't want you here. But let's start with what we have.
I might suggest that we hear Councilman Berger's input, since he's not a resident as well, in a future meeting.
Probably a pretty good idea.
I mean, that's fine. We can wait for Chris. Sure,
If you're okay with that, I think it'd
Yeah.
be wise.
sure.
Anything else in public utilities?
That'd be it.
All right, ordinance resolutions, Councilman Canton, you got the first one. Councilman Glicky, you got the second one.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving auditor of state uniform accounting network participation agreement in an amount not to exceed $6,000, authorizing the mayor and the fiscal officer to execute the agreement on behalf of the village, authorizing the fiscal officer to execute the authorized user agreement as part of the agreement, authorizing the fiscal officer to select a designee, authorizing the designee to execute the authorized designee user agreement to the agreement, and declare an emergency. Motion to suspend.
What a lot of double speak.
But it's not, it's
We need a
actually, there
second.
are very different things that have to be
Okay.
signed off on.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Bell.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Glicky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Move to adopt, Jerry.
Move to adopt, sorry.
Second.
Bell.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Glicky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Next one, farmer's market.
Okay, a little uncomfortable with this because we don't have any specified time that's included in the ordinance.
Okay, put in,
Do you see it?
Do you have the agreement?
put in,
The agreement has no
It's a
specified
blank.
time either.
I don't know when they're starting before the next council meeting.
Yeah, it has no start time, no end time.
Don't
okay,
they go May through October?
okay,
And
we're doing, all right,
it has
Put in,
not been signed by the farmer's market either. So
all right, put in May through November on the time period.
May 1.
And,
What would be the date there?
Are they to have insurance also?
yeah, they got it.
They have their certificate.
And then, put in May the 10th through October the 11th.
You sure it's not this coming weekend there?
No,
Then you might want to put,
no, we're good.
all right.
And the only other question I would have for the solicitor before I introduce this is, given the fact that it has not been executed by the farmer's market, should we just wait until they execute the agreement and then ratify?
You could do that. You could also make it subject to their execution and a provision that they give us the updated certificate of insurance. I didn't see.
We do have,
we
we
did
got
get
that one,
updated.
but it's good through July.
Okay,
So
so they're gonna have to update that. And then what about the circulation plan? Did they provide that?
we used last year's because I was
Yeah.
assuming it was the same.
It's attached.
Okay, so just subject to the execution and approval by Jogga Farmers Market.
Okay, given that, I would like to introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the operating agreement with Jug Fresh Farmers Market Incorporated for a license to use a designated portion of the parking areas for driveways in the south of Russell Village municipal property at Chillicothe Road and Bell Road as a farmer and artisans market for the time period of May to November 2025, authorizing the mayor to execute an operating agreement on behalf of the village and declaring an emergency and waive further reading. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Bell,
Aye.
Canton,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Gallicki,
Aye.
Porter.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Bell,
Aye.
Canton,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Gallicki,
Aye.
Porter.
Ordinance passes. Bills list, finance, Jerry.
We don't have a bills list.
Don't have a bills list? New other, Danielle.
Bell,
I have none.
Canton,
None.
Kavanaugh,
None.
Gallicki,
No.
Porter.
I should have asked you this earlier, Danielle, but on the fiscal officer report, it was, as, projects that need, appropriations, you have.
When
Village Hall sewer project.
Well, at the end, when the last council meeting ended, as soon as it ended, the street commissioner came over to the mayor and said there was $10,000 of sewer work. Did you be here? But, so I thought we were gonna amend it, but I never got any more details on that, so,
Nothing yet, but we have an issue. We're gonna, camera before we do anything. So we have an idea of what it's gonna be.
so hopefully we'll have more details by the next meeting. And I didn't make any appropriation amendments for now because, there was enough in the budget for the salt pump, so I'm just keeping the list, and once we get that number.
We can talk about it, public utilities next time around if you want. That's fine. Okay, thank you, Danielle. Nothing further.
Yeah, motion
That's
to
everything.
adjourn, that's correct, chief. 7:57, this may be a record. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:57.
That is record.
Except for the